I'd like to talk about sport and games in the context of simulated versions of the difference between winning and losing, because what most people say when you talk about wanting to bring in a culture that celebrates the difference between winning and losing is that we already have a culture of winning and losing. That's all we ever think about. That's all we ever do. But that's not really true, in the same way as Ayn Rand said that the USA is not a capitalist country. The West is not a country of winning and losing. It's not ancient Rome. And even ancient Rome wasn't ancient Rome. It was a religious celebration of Mars or something. It wasn't really winning and losing in the raw. Because I remember somebody, an American blogger, commented that you don't need an analyst commenting on one of my essays on the International Bourgeois website, that you don't need to encourage people to see. You don't need to read Bataille and Baudrillard to understand that to argue about there's a difference between winning and losing. And then he sort of said, once you've seen the ravening crowd on a Saturday night, cheering for the Reds or the Blues or whatever it was, then you know that that this culture is a culture of the difference between winning and losing. It's obvious, but that's the whole point. That is a simulation, a simulacrum of winning and losing. It's not the real thing at all. Sport is not war. Football is not war. Cricket is not war. It's not life and death. And even dangerous sports are not principally about life and death. And they're not about the winning and losing of the fruits of the earth even. That's certainly not what is essential. It's purely about vicarious identification with the team, which it doesn't matter if the team wins or loses. It's the complete opposite of winning and losing. Winning and losing has to matter. To be winning and losing, to be different, they have to actually have a consequence for you. Sport does not do that in any way. So the very thing he used as an example to prove I was wrong proved me right, because it's just an absurd example of winning and losing. It is a pure psyop. I mean, I'm looking at a cheering crowd now that so happy to have got back into the stands after the COVID thing or whatever, and it's of no consequence to these supporters whether their team wins or loses. Of absolutely no consequence. On a superficial level, although it's connected, you could say that those football teams don't represent them whatsoever. They're international football teams, have nothing to do with them. But on a deeper level, of course, it doesn't matter to them what happens out there on the pitch any more than it matters what's on the screen and what's before them on a screen in the cinema or on a laptop or on television. You're watching the winning and losing of people who are not connected to your winning and losing, are not connected to you in any way.